Well, it's week 6 of the LCS with coverage brought to you by Alienware. I'm joined right now by Vulcan from Cloud9. Following the end of their lose streak, this team that has been struggling so much recently is finally showing signs of life, and I'm happy to chat with them after that game. Vulcan, what has been the emotional state within the Cloud9 house as you guys have been going through this lose streak?
It's been despair. We never knew if you were gonna come out of it. Maybe we'll just lose every game. Cloud 9, the meme and everything.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. No, but honestly, I think we were just like trying to figure out the way we want to play the meta and kind of try different champs and stuff like that. So none of us were like too worried about it. I think we can always go back to a similar play style that we showed today, where we can play a snowbally style and then just play the game that way. So yeah, I think we were all like pretty bummed out about the losses. Obviously, no one here likes losing, but um, we all know that losing now is better than later on in playoffs or even at Worlds. So yeah, it's good learning points. So we're happy about that.
Well, and I think that's what a lot of people were trying to figure out. It's like, is this team intentionally playing strategies that they are less comfortable with in order to, learn and grow? Because you guys have obviously secured, playoffs, or is it something else? And so I think that's what people are curious about. So from your end, were you guys experimenting a lot? Was that sort of what was going on?
Yeah, we were definitely experimenting, especially last week where we pulled out Senna Wukong twice. It's not something we usually play, not a play style we usually play either, where we don't have a lot of bot pressure early game. We can't fight much. We need to wait for level 6 and play team fights, stuff like that. So definitely trying out a new style. This year was playing more mages than usual. Normally he prefers like champions like Galio or Rumble, for example. And we're trying to branch out a little bit just so that we're more scary in draft for playoff, more versatile. We can have different styles, and it's harder to abuse us in pick ban. So definitely trying out new stuff, but I wouldn't put all the blame on like us experimenting. I think we had pretty bad games. Like we played individually and on a team level pretty poor in the two losses. So it's hard to like just say, oh, we're experimenting, so whatever. We fucked up, and we're all aware of it. So yeah.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask too, is because now, you guys have these losses. Now you found the win. Is there an issue here? Because I oftentimes see teams that are doing really well. They go and they say we're going to experiment. Then they lose with that. Then they don't want to experiment. So then they kind of stick around in that world where they only have the strategies that they're comfortable with, and they are afraid to grow. So how are you guys balancing that?
Well, we're still gonna play like in scrims, the new champs and stuff. We just really wanted to win this time around. So we
Yes.
came out with the big guns with the Galio, the Killista. Um, but we'll still try different stuff in scrims. I'm sure we'll put new stuff on stage. We played Kel today versus Orange, something we haven't played before. We didn't really experiment too much in scrims either with that matchup. So we're still like, even though we pull out the big Galio and the Kalista, we still brought Kel, which is totally new for us. So I think it's still a balance of grabbing some wins here and there, and at the same time experimenting maybe a little less so that we're more comfortable on stage.
Well, and while you guys had those losses, and as much as maybe they were a combination of experimenting and then also maybe, playing below your normal standards, there are a lot of people also speculating like, is the gap closing? A conversation we normally have around international stuff. Do you feel as though other teams are catching up to you?
Yes, I think the top teams are improving. I think the EG we played yesterday was pretty good. They had a really good draft and they executed it well. So that team is looking pretty scary after, I don't know, 3 days of practice, right? So I think they're a team to look out for. Team Liquid is consistently improving, even though their games are not convincing. They're finding ways to win them, and I guess their decision making in mid game or late game scenarios is pretty good. And then TSM is classic TSM, up and down and everything. So it's hard to judge them. But I think with Treats now in the lineup, I think they could be a pretty scary team as well. So I think the gap is closing, yes, but not as much as people think.
Power of Evil was discussing with me yesterday the idea that like it might be kind of hard to gauge, or part of the reason maybe we're seeing some of the instability in the league, and I say instability in that like right now you kind of have no idea who's going to win or lose. Even Dignitas going on a win streak. So part of that might be because the meta has shifted in his eyes to be very snowbally. Is that something that you are seeing as well? That like you can just get a bit of an early lead later or early in the game, and then things start to really go out of control from there?
Yeah, that's what it feels like for sure. I mean, in the game versus 100 definitely got snowballed on and didn't feel like we could do anything. I think that was a bit of a draft issue, but for sure, the game becomes really hard if you have to fight dragons like in a team that's against a team that's snowballing, and you need to go fight the soul, or else they get like this insane bonus of stats, and you like funnel to a fight when you have no pressure. You give them like a really good situation, and it's hard to just give stuff for free and then you like, oh, we have Ezreal, we'll come back, because Ezreal, you get Baron against Ezreal becomes useless. So yeah, I think the game is pretty snowbally unless there's a Yuumi in the game. Then Yuumi can always come back, but I think people seem to think that Yumi's not a champion anymore for some reason because of the recent mana nerfs. But I think it's like the exact same.
Yeah.
And it's weird that some of the bottom tier teams are not experimenting with her more because it's like skill less. Any team can beat a top team with Yumi. So I think it's weird no one's playing
Are we
it.
still seeing a decent amount of her in other regions? I haven't seen.
I saw DRX played it with they played it with Lucian. That's the one game I saw, but I didn't see much of it in other regions either. No.
Okay. Do you like when a meta like this rolls around where it's very snowballing and people say, okay, well, this allows like sometimes the lesser skilled teams to find success easier because maybe, the better team makes one little mistake early on and it starts to really snowball out of control from there. Do you dislike these metas because for a team like you, it increases the chance of the volatility in the game and it increases the chance of you guys losing? Or is it like nice because it just allows you to like snowball so well, in a way it also can favor the better team because early on they can find so much success and just like stomp the game out really quickly.
Yeah, I like that it's snowbally just because people can't really sit back and like refuse to fight you and just rely on like draft or late game scaling, and then it's just, like they don't really play the game. I prefer to face a team that's going to fight us early on and they're going to try to play the game the right way. They start playing the game from minute one. I prefer playing that way. So definitely like that it's snowbally, and be able to like punish enemy mistakes, and the fact that it's more impactful in the game. I like that a lot.
Do you find that was an issue with teams that you guys faced in the past, was that they just wouldn't really contest you early and you just kind of steamroll them? Because it kind of felt like that for a while.
Yeah, I think specifically FlyQuest is one of the teams that wouldn't fight us a lot early game, and they had success versus other teams going late game. But when they played versus us, sometimes they would just sit back and get rolled over, and then some other times they would try to fight us early game, and we're more used to it, so we just come out on top most of the time. So I think for FlyQuest specifically, yeah. EG is one of the teams that was top tier last split. Right now they're like middle of the pack, but they're maybe on the rise.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see later. But EG was one of the teams that was more willing to fight us early game, and I was more scared of them last split than any other team, just because they were trying to play the game from minute 0 or minute 1 instead of just sitting back and letting us snowball.
Well, do you think that it's like because the meta is sort of forcing everybody to be way more proactive? I assume that that's actually kind of good for our region because the teams that were resistant to sort of meet you guys on equal grounds perhaps now are more willing to, and because they're kind of forced to, really play the game on your terms and like get in there early and, as you said, like play from level 1.
Oh wait, sorry. What's the question?
Sorry, the question is like, do you think this is good for our region because it's basically forcing everyone to play this aggressive style that you guys want them to?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, if you fight more, you'll practice your fingers more. You'll know scenarios better. You'll kind of just improve naturally, and also internationally. Like in the past, for NA, our top teams that we sent out were teams that were kind of scaling and playing for late game, and the LPL style is not like that at all. So you go to Worlds and you have a massive disadvantage compared to those teams where they'll fight you early and you don't know how to react. You're not used to fighting like this much, or a team being this aggressive against you. And I think us playing this way is good for the region in general, and making like the other NA teams have to catch up with us means that we'll be more prepared for the EU or LPL style play. That fights a lot more.
Shifting away from the game, I think it was Niski that I interviewed last week who said that there's been a shift in the Cloud9 house around watching shows together, that this is stopped, and I don't know that it's a big deal potentially. So can you comment on the updates on this?
Well, most of the time it's just me and Niski watching shows. And right now we were watching Dark, and Niski got too confused. It's like a pretty confusing show with time travel. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's kind of confusing. A lot of characters, moving back and forth in timelines, and he got really, really dizzy, and I had to, explain and pause the show to make sure he's still there and knows what's going on. So he kind of gave up on it.
Oh,
So
so
as
now
of
he
right
gave
now,
up on it because he was critical of the because apparently you guys all used to watch shows together,
mhm.
and then he
Hikaru,
said that
yeah.
everybody stopped watching it except for you and him,
Mhm.
and now he's even bailed out.
Yeah, I think he's willing to watch something else, but yeah, Dark is too complicated for him.
Okay, do you think that this is at all tied to the losses you guys have had recently? Because it sounds like when you guys were all watching shows together, you were winning a lot, and then now like the fellowship is ending, it's crumbling.
Yeah, I think you wait. I think you just solved Cloud9. I think we're just gonna go back to watching shows together,
Watching
and
shows together,
the
okay,
synergy is gonna come back. We're all gonna play great, and
good.
we should be able to.
I'm glad I could help figure this out. Well, either way,
Thank you so much.
thank you, thank you for the interview. Anything you want to say to the Cloud9 fans out there?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for being supportive, even though we were slumping. You guys were pretty nice on social media, so thank you for that. And yeah, hopefully we can show better performances in the future, and look forward to winning another split.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Vulcan, for the interview. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel. Do you happen to have a stutter? I used to, and then I got it resolved. That's right. I'd be playing games and they would stutter on me. Just like the frame rate would drop, it'd be a huge issue. Then I went to alienware.com/Travis and I bought, that's not true because I mean, I am Travis, so it wouldn't make sense that you could go check out Alienware stuff at alienware.com/Travis, Travis 10 off Q2, and you won't have the stuttering in the games anymore when you get an awesome epic rig with NVIDIA graphics, great Intel processor. They got some great stuff over there. Travis 10 off Q2 will save you 10%. And the other thing that helped my stutter was when I subscribed to this YouTube channel. It actually had a lot of health benefits. None of this has been reviewed by any professionals, and I think I'm supposed to say like this has not been reviewed by the FDA or whatever. All I'm saying is subscribe to the channel, and maybe great things will happen. Maybe they won't. We don't know, but it would be great for me. I'd really appreciate it.